Who's who here? Shanti Parayam. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Shodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Shodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Panaman Suparikad Ashtottara Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai Navadvip Tham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamana Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Naitad Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naitad Patatisha Padang Tavepsitam Yanmayaya Nas Tanushe Bhuta Sukshman Anugrahaya Astu Api Yarhi Mayaya Lasat Tulasya Bhagavan Vilakshitaha Naitad Patadhi Padam Tavepsitam Yanmayaya Nastanushe Bhuta Sukshmam Anugrahaya Swapi Yarhimayaya Satulasya Bhagavan Vilakshita Ladies. Not. Etat, this. Pata, indeed. Adhisha, O Lord. Padam, material world. Tava, your. Ipsitam, desire. Yat, which. Mayaya, by your external energy. Naha, for us. Tanushe, you manifest. Bhuta Sukshmam, the elements, gross and subtle. Anugrahaya, for bestowing mercy. Astu, let it be. api, also, yarhi, when, mayaya, through your causeless mercy, lasat, splendid, ulasya, with a wreath of tulsi leaves. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, vilakshitaha, is perceived. My dear Lord, although it is not your desire, you manifest this creation of gross and subtle elements just for our sensual satisfaction. Let your causeless mercy be upon us, for you have appeared before us. My goodness, it's got a mind of its own. For you have appeared before us in your eternal form, adorned with a splendid wreath of tulsi leaves. Purport. It is clearly stated here that the material world is not created by the personal will of the Supreme Lord. It is created by his external energy because the living entities want to enjoy it. This material world is not created for those who do not want to enjoy sense gratification, who constantly remain in transcendental loving service, and who are eternally Krishna conscious. For them, the spiritual world is eternally existing, and they enjoy there. Elsewhere in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that for those who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this material world is useless. Because this material world is full of danger at every step, it is not meant for the devotees, but for living entities who want to lord it over the material energy at their own risk. Krishna is so kind that he allows the sense-enjoying living entities a separate world created by him to enjoy as they like. Yet at the same time, he appears in his personal form. The Lord unwillingly creates this material world, but he descends in his personal form or sends one of his reliable sons or a servant or a reliable author like Vyasadeva to give instruction. He himself also instructs in his speeches of Bhagavad Gita. This propaganda work goes on side by side with the creation to convince the misguided living entities who are rotting in this material world to come back to him and surrender unto him. Therefore, the last instruction of Bhagavad Gita is this: give up all your manufactured engagements in the material world and just surrender unto me. I shall protect you from all sinful reactions. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kodamaiham Tadhati Shapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalang, Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha, Shri Rupam Shagrajatam, Shagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam, Sadvaitam Savatutam, Pradijana Sahitam, Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Shri Radha Krishna Padan, Shahagana Lolita, Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha, He Krishna Karuna Sindho, Dina Bandho Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Brindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Bodhi Priye, Vansha Kulpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindho Bhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vashadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Naitad patadhisha padam tavepsitam, yan mayaya nastanushe bhuta sukshmam, anugraha yasvapi yarhi mayaya, lasat tulasya bhagavan vilakshita. Yeah, think a little down. Here, let's do this. There you go. Like that, and then like that. And that should be good. Okay. Natava ipsita. This material world isn't your desire, Krishna. This is not your will that there should be such a difficult, miserable world. Natava ipsitam. But yanmaya nastanushe bhuta sukshmam. Your material energy has created this world. Maya, the illusory energy, has created this world with bhuta sukshma. Bhuta means gross elements, and sukshma means the subtle elements. And the material world has, it's a complicated and refined manifestation with the gross things that we see and the subtle things that we don't see. The world gets very mysterious when you start to explore the subtle things, but even the gross things bewilder the mind of the conditioned soul. Yanmaya nastanushe bhuta sukshmam. You've created, your material energy has created this material world under your direction. Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. Because we want it, that's all. Ichcha dvesha samuttena dvandva mohena bharat. Sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti pranantapa. Yeah, not like that. The knees go down like that. Then you're good. Under Krishna's direction, the material energy, even just by his will, he doesn't have to say, now do this, now do that. Ichchanarupamapi yasya cheshtatesa. Maya knows, a good servant knows what the master wants. So the material energy, or all of Krishna's energies, are svabhavaki. They're automatically working. But the thinking about it, the material energy works exactly according to the Lord's desire. And the spiritual energy works exactly according to the Lord's desire. And the marginal energy is unreliable. Most of the marginal living entities work according to Krishna's desire, but some small minority rebel and refuse to cooperate with the Lord, refuse to serve the Lord, and instead dream of independence. It's a dream because even without Krishna's help, we can't even be supposedly independent. But natasmritir jnanam apohanam cha, by Krishna's, by our desire, if we want, Krishna helps us to forget our relationship with him and struggle in the project of trying to master the material energy. No one can trace out at what point this desire appears, but we mentioned this last night in Bhagavatam. It said from pure consciousness, adulterated consciousness appears. No one will figure that out, but there it is. So this independence means that there has to be the option to non-cooperate. The option is there. Most living entities never use it, but a few misguided souls choose the material world. Then, anugrahaya astu api yarhi maya. Here's another maya. One maya means illusion. Maya also means mercy. Illusion is one kind of mercy. You want it, here it is. But this is a different kind of mercy. Anugrahaya astu api yarhi maya. By your causeless mercy, you've appeared in this, in your transcendental form. It's mercy on Kardama Muni, because Kardama Muni has some specific desire in his mind, which the Lord intends to fulfill. Getting a little competitive, isn't it? Sorry. So the Lord appears because he intends to fulfill the desire of Kardama Muni. And he once again demonstrates that he's not some impersonal force, but he has all opulence. It's Bhagavan. Vilakshita. Lakshita means perceived, seen. Vilakshita, splendidly seen. The Lord is described in the previous verses, I think, how gorgeously he appears. Vilakshita. So with a Tulsi garland and so many other transcendental features. Oh, this is certainly Krishna's mercy. For the impersonalists, there's some monotonous oneness. But for the devotees, there's this transcendental form of the Lord with transcendental qualities, names, activities, and so on. So the devotee is not interested in the impersonal, quasi-nothingness of the impersonal Brahma. He's interested in the transcendental, affectionate features of the Lord. Samashrita ye padapallava pavam mahatpadam punya shomurari. Prabhupada, there's a word. Anyway, refers to this verse in the purport. There's a word that's escaped my mind. And he refers to it. Samashrita, for those who've completely taken shelter of the transcendental boat of the lotus feet of the Lord. The ocean of material existence, bhavambuddhi, becomes like the water in the tiny hoof print of a calf. Mahatpadam, the lotus feet of the Lord are described as Mahatpadam, the greatest destination, or the lotus feet at which the Mahatmas, the great souls, are gathered, or the shelter of Mahat, the Mahatattva, the material energy. Everything's finally at the lotus feet of the Lord, and the devotees take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Punya Yasha, the celebrated, transcendentally celebrated lotus feet of the Lord. You know? We'll turn to you, all right? That won't work, it'll just feedback. This will be better, right? Okay. So, Mahatpadam Punya Yasho Murari, the killer of the Mura demon, Krishna. Bhavam Buddhi or Vatsa Padam Padam Padam. Padam Padam Yadvi Padam Natesha. For the devotees who've taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, the destination is Param Padam, the supreme destination, the transcendental abode of the Lord. The verse is wonderful. It plays on Padam in so many ways. Tamashrita ye padapalavam plavam so padapalavam, and then Padam nadvipadam. Vipad means danger. Vipad means danger. Vipad dharma means activities that are all right to perform in an emergency, not otherwise. So vipad means danger. Where's their vipad? Padam padam, at every step. At every step, one could be bitten by a snake, one could trip and fall, one could be hit by a car, one could collapse from exhaustion, anything could happen, shot by some crazy guy. Anything, material world, at every step, there's no safe step. No one is safe at home, no one is safe out of home, no one is safe anywhere. Padam yadvi padam, there's danger at every step in the material, because we're not in our constitutional position. And therefore, we're subject to trouble at every moment. But this is not where we're meant to be. We're meant to be at the lotus feet of Krishna. And this is the abode of the devotees, not this material world. And maybe I'll just stop here and see what kind of questions you might have. Or thoughts. Yeah, we have a second microphone for you, do we?
Jayadvaita Swami, wonderful to see you after, I think, decades.
Wonderful to see you. Hare Krishna.
Actually, my question is not specifically to do with the class, but it's not controversial. It's just a question about your reprinting of your book on Kirtan. I was listening to a podcast, I think it was Namasaranya, or Namaras. Very, very interesting podcast that
he does gave. Very interesting podcasts.
Yes, well, your responses were very interesting. And you mentioned, or he mentioned about your book on Kirtan, and you mentioned that you were getting a second edition, and I was just wondering if that's already out or when that will be.
Yeah, it's not really a second edition, it's just a second printing. I put a couple of little things in, but yes, it's out. It's here. I think there are a few copies. 10 copies are here. And they're all for sale.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Cash, credit cards, good wishes, whatever you want to trade in. Fresh milk. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Came all the way here to see you.
No.
Now you're talking about that this material world is danger at every step.
The material world is danger at every step.
Yes. Now, if something really bad happens to you, and would you consider that my karma, or is it danger?
Is it karma or is it?
Danger.
Danger. If something happens to us, is it karma or is it danger? Well, at every step there's danger because of karma.
Yeah.
There's also the danger that we may create new karma and new danger. They're together.
Yeah.
At every step there's danger because of previous karma, because of the setup of this material world. There's, yes, danger waiting for us at every step.
And due to that incident, I tried to help others.
Excuse me?
I tried to help others by making a point of it. So I got the police involved.
Not?
I got the police involved. So then I hope that that wouldn't happen to someone else. So is that good? Should you do that or just let it be?
Well, there's, according to the circumstances, we don't call the police, because I got a bee sting, but there are times when it's appropriate to call the police. That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That, of course, is routine, but all of it, of course, devotees are in a different position. They're supposed to be acting under the Daivi Prakriti, the transcendental energy of the Lord, not merely according to karma. And the devotee takes it, that whatever's come, of course he takes it, it's because of my past karma, or he takes it, it's Krishna's mercy, or he takes it that my past karma is also Krishna's mercy. But in any case, the devotee recognizes a relationship with Krishna at every step. So he's, in that sense, already in the transcendental world. But the person who's trying to fix this world, make it better for himself or make it better for others, is getting more and more implicated in the complexities of material existence. because he's not on the transcendental platform. Even when he does good, there'll be reactions to that. Even if he's like really super ultra pious, not just good, but performing heaps and heaps of pious activities, and he comes back, he goes to a heavenly planet, but going to a heavenly planet means you have to take birth again in that heavenly planet, and then you have to come back down again when the pious activities are exhausted. So there's no doing good in the material world. Even when we're doing good, it's only relative good, and relative good is not good. So that's not to say don't call the police, because you'll incur karma. But it's just to say that whatever we do in this material world without Krishna consciousness will get us deeper and deeper into the material energy. Mm-hmm. There's danger at every step, even when we're trying to do good.
Yeah. It's true.
Thank you, Swami. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Devotees feel a lot of shelter from the dangers of the attractions of the material world by coming to the temple programs and association and festivals and Sunday feasts. Last night you were going to tell us about the wonderful Sunday feasts, the 1960s and 1970s. Would you like to?
Oh, yeah. All right. I've sometimes told about, of course I don't know what the situation is here, but in most of our ISKCON temples these days we have very nice Sunday feasts, maybe 5 or 7 preparations, something sweet, and a couple of vegetable preparations, some rice, some puris. So I've sometimes told about the Sunday feast in 26 2nd Avenue, which was always like about 20 preparations or so. I don't know, was that how it was in Buffalo also, Maharaj? Oh, you came on an off day. We used to have so many preparations. We would have, let's see, a couple of different kinds of rice. We would have luchis. Yep, sometimes pushpana, which probably hasn't been seen since the days of the dinosaurs, with little cheese balls and so many things. There would be maybe 2 or more kinds of pakoras. There could be, it changed from week to week, but kofta, 2 or 3 different kinds of of pakoras, samosas, and not the samosas of today. Today's samosas are potato, right? That is not the samosa. The samosas Prabhupada taught were cauliflowers and peas, cooked down to a thick paste with Bengali, really, spices. And then also sort of crimped like sweet samosas. And those were a totally different experience. Let's see.
There's always puris.
There were always puris, but not the puris of today. Luchis. Luchi, chini, sarpuli, ladu, rasabali. Luchi is akin to the puri that we usually see, but it's white flour, it's light, it's blown up big, and it's got, usually in our experience, what do they call it? Baking sugar?
Powdered sugar.
Powdered sugar, they call it different things in different countries. Anyway, a little of that nice light sugar, dusting it. We always had those.
Always sweet rice.
Always sweet rice. Always gulab jamuns. Usually 2 or 3 other kinds of sweets.
Usually there was
2 or 3, at least, different kinds of chutneys. like a plum chutney, an apple chutney, a tomato chutney, a this chutney, or that chutney. I'm leaving some things out. Oh, I didn't talk vegetables. There are different kinds of vegetable preparations. Sweet and sour, or particularly Prabhupada taught a preparation with potatoes and cauliflower, but very wet. Wet cauliflower and potatoes, a Bengali style of cauliflower potatoes, which were really nice.
The reason why I said that is that the feast, I came back from Buffalo to attend and I went to the feast, and all the devotees lined up in the front.
Yeah, all the devotees would line up in the front.
And I didn't realize what was going on, so I didn't join them. I was with the guests in the back. And by the time I got up there was nothing left.
There was nothing left. You see, there's danger at every step.
And then Rohini Kumara took me in the back and gave me some Simply Wonderfuls.
They were a regular feature also, simply. There were so many things. Then they'd have like some saves, some crunchy stuff. Like 18, 20, 22 preparations. It would be huge. And so the devotees would think, sometimes we'd think about blooping, as it was known. But the devotees would think, well, let me stay through Sunday. Yes.
Particularly Mahabhagavat halva, which is supposed to be light and fluffy and sweet and...
Oh yeah. What a leader. Jai. Yes, this is what we need. Leaders who will revive the ancient traditions of light, fluffy halva.
Back to the class and the philosophy.
Oh, yeah.
So, karma was mentioned, and we started the questions about a book. You wrote the book Vanity Karma. Is that a special type of karma?
Well, I'll explain what it means. Well, I guess I should start by saying what the book is. Vanity Karma is a commentary, verse-by-verse commentary on a book of the Old Testament of the Bible, Ecclesiastes, which is a very unusual book to be in the Bible. It's not prophecy, it's not history, it's not praise of God, it's none of that. It's philosophy. It's the expressions of a person who's a philosopher, a sage, who's facing what he's realized to be the pointlessness of existence in this world. That's his opening shot, his opening words are that everything in the world is meaningless. And vanity is, now we think of vanity in terms of pride, but the older meaning of vanity is uselessness. His efforts were in vain. It means for nothing. So vanity means uselessness, and vanity of vanities means superlative uselessness, superlative meaninglessness, superlative pointlessness. That's so the opening words of the book are vanity of vanities. All is vanity, no exceptions. So Vanity Karma is a running commentary on Ecclesiastes from the point of view of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. I think it's the first Hindu commentary on a full book of the Bible. That aside, that's why it has that title. It puts together the ideas of karma and so much more, of course, devotional service ultimately. And it's written for an outside audience. It's a red book. The cover's red. This is the blue book. The blue book is written really for the devotees, and the red book is really written for outsiders. It's non-technical, the language. You don't have to know. It's written for the intelligent ignoramus. Our godbrother Guru Garanga Prabhu attended Yale Law School, and his professor advised him to write legal briefs for the intelligent ignoramus. And ignoramus is a person who doesn't know anything about the subject matter. He's totally ignorant. But if he's intelligent and you explain it to him, he'll understand. So Vanity Karma is written for the intelligent ignoramus. It's philosophy. It lays it on the line what Krishna says. It doesn't play peekaboo. It's all straight out there. But it assumes from the beginning that you may not know about this or agree with this or find it comprehensible or sensible. So it tries to explain things. So in that sense, it's meant for outsiders, total newbies. It assumes you don't know anything about Krishna, about Bhagavad Gita, about the Bible. Especially written with like 13 to 14-year-olds in mind. Because at that age, young people can have a lot of questions about what life is for, why we're even here. By the time you're 20, you forget, I'm here for Susie, of course, that's why I'm here. But the younger people, but older people also, because they still have some intelligence left, at least some of them do. So it's meant for outsiders.
Thank you, Maharaj. Prabhupada said that you don't need to learn or to understand Sanskrit in order to understand the scriptures. But it's such a wonderful pleasure to understand, like you're describing about Padam and Vidpadama.
I quote that verse actually in Vanity Karma and unpack it and talk a little bit about what the words do, because it's such a great verse. Yes, there's another something. Ramai Marsh, did you want to say something? Oh, you see, now you've got the dead microphone. But you have a louder voice probably, so maybe. Okay.
Jai Maharaj, thank you very much for coming here, and I hope this is the start of a sort of a cycle pattern where we get to see you again and again. But I have a question about your class.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, there's this word that I've been tossing about, because sometimes when you have Sanskrit and you have English translations, there may be a little bit of a confusion about the meaning, and the word is marginal. So, we always hear Srila Prabhupada talk about the spiritual energy and the material energy, and then the marginal energy. So, the marginal energy, as we know, is the living entity. But in the English language, the word marginal, there's two meanings when you look it up in the dictionary. One is that it's put aside margin in the margin as a reference for later on. And the second one, marginal, means not very important, that it's marginal. It's not really sort of the main thrust, but it's just off to the side. So that sort of also fits with the philosophy that is Christian philosophy, or their understanding of religion, that God is somewhere else and we're over here, but he's far away, so he's forgotten about us. So that marginal seems to be that definition according to the English language. I was just wondering if you want to comment about that.
Well, let's see. For a comment on English, we might as well look in the dictionary and see what they say about marginal. There's a word, a meaning that comes to my mind. People who are not quite in the mainstream of proper behavior are sometimes called marginal. Let's see. Located at or near a margin or edge. And so literally or figuratively. Then, as you said, written in the margin of a book. Geographically adjacent, Welsh County marginal to England. Sort of a small value. Barely productive, marginal land, and so on. So there's a lot of things going on with marginal. When I look at these English terms that Prabhupada uses, I usually look to the Sanskrit itself, because essentially Prabhupada's project is to take the Sanskrit and make it intelligible to an English audience, English-speaking audience. And sometimes the words that he adopts are amazingly, fitting. They're profound and fitting. And sometimes they're a little difficult to figure out, like plenary portion, for example, or what is that word? There's some of them that are quite difficult to understand. Well, expansions, that is conceptually different. Difficult, expansions. And there's a whole vocabulary, starting with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that Prabhupada develops or employs in getting these things across. Potential, the qualitative expansions. Krishna has qualitative expansions. So just if you sort of attack the English or and try to unpack the English, you'll have a hard time. A qualitative expansion. You really need to go back and understand that there are three qualities of material nature, that each of them is controlled by a deity. And those deities now, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, they're the qualitative expansions of the Lord because they're in charge of those three qualities. So there's sort of no way to get that other than having it explained to you directly, or else reading the books long enough that you get it. So in any case, when it comes to something like marginal, I would go back to the Sanskrit and say, okay, tatastha. Then what is tatastha? Tatastha. Sta means situated, and tata means on the shore. So Prabhupada gives the example of sand on the beach, which sometimes may be under the water and sometimes may be on the land. So it's marginal in that sense. It's on the edge, so that's marginal. And in that edgy position, it's sometimes under and sometimes above. So it can go either way. That's the important characteristic. If something's marginal in this context, it can go this way or it can go that way. So that's the position of the Tatastha Shakti. We can go toward the spiritual energy, take shelter of Daivi Prakriti, or Prakritim Mohanim Shataha. We can take shelter of the illusory energy. That's our choice. That's the position of the marginal living being. Thank you. Yes. Is Prabhupada the first one to employ the term the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Certainly in the West, Dr. Radhakrishnan didn't employ the term, and no other translator did or does practically, other than Prabhupada or his followers. And as Tamal Krishna Maharaj pointed out in his doctoral thesis, Prabhupada made that term sort of the banner for his campaign. His whole purpose was to present Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, hence the title of the Krishna book. So whether his spiritual master used that term or not, I'm not quite sure. Or whether it was used in Gaudiya Math at some point, I'm not quite sure. That would be an interesting further bit of research. But certainly in the West, nobody either used the term or pushed the idea. You know, it's all Brahman, Brahman, Brahman. Until Prabhupada came and said, no, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Yes.
Maharaj, in the Bhagavad Gita, the distinctions made, Krishna says, my 8 separated energies, bina, prakriti. But then also there's a term for the living entity, vibhina. Vibhina. So,
yeah.
the word bina is used also for the living entity. So I was just, because sometimes you hear that the distinction between the external and sometimes hear that the living entity is kind of part of the internal energy, in a sense, but then it's also called bina, vibhina.
Yeah, vibhina. Bina means separated. Bina means different also. Vibhina, to have different opinions. Matamna bina. Yeah. So what does this mean, separated expansions? Prabhupada, first of all, he's using it in conjunction with swamsa. Swamsa vibhinangsha. Angsha means a portion, a part. So swamsa means an integrated part. Swa means one's own self. So the portions who are Krishna's own self are the swamsa expansions. Vishnu, Narayan, Shringadev, Matsya Kurma, Varaha, they're all swamsa. They're the Lord's portions who are actually himself. He appears in partial manifestation, partially manifests himself in these swamsas. And then there's the vibhinamshas. They're also expansions, but they're separated or different from himself. And Prabhupada gives he gave different examples. He said the milk is the separated expansion of the cow. And he gave the example of the tape recording, how he's speaking, but the recording is separate from him, and it continues to exist. He's given different examples also, but the idea is that we're separately, individually constituted, and we're not on the same level as the personality of Godhead. That's the point, that we're tiny living beings. So vibhinangsha. And yes, sometimes Prabhupada is using words in one context one way, another, so the separated material energies, they're separated in still in another way. And they're all non-different from himself, and yet different. We could do a whole seminar on this, I guess. Is that okay? All right. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. I'd just like to take it back to Prashadam, if you don't mind. My question is, when the gopis cooked for Krishna, was there all that processed food, like the white sugar and the white flour?
In the spiritual world, they make the white sugar and white flour by a transcendental process. No, they don't. It's proprietary. I don't know how they do it, but yeah. But I can say that I don't know so much about the gopis, but when Prabhupada cooked, he used sugar, he used white flour. He did use these things that we cringe at. He used them.
He, as far as I understand, he also had diabetes, is that correct?
Yes. But it's not that he was always eating white flour, and so I don't think you can do a cause and effect there. We could try, but I don't think it would work.
I just think that when we cook, maybe we need to think of the devotee's health.
Well, there's two things you can think about. Krishna's enjoyment and the devotee's health. So the first thing is Krishna's enjoyment. He's the supreme enjoyer, and he never gets diabetes or high blood pressure or any of that. So he's unrestricted. He can take as much. He never gets indigestion. He eats 64 times a day in Jagannath Puri, and he could still keep going. He appears as for the Govardhana Puja and says more, and he tells what to make. I want puris. I want kachoris. I want all of these things. So for Krishna, we don't say no. This is not healthy. No, what Prabhupada taught us, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is singing about, Luchi, Chini, Sharpuli, on and on it goes. The list of sweets would terrify the health food crowd. But Prabhupada actually told his authors of cookbooks that they should research all of these items and include them. So for Krishna's enjoyment, all these varieties are prepared for the devotees and offered to the Lord. But that doesn't mean that we have to eat that way. I remember quite a number of years ago in New York, some Indian lady, or Indian person anyway, just said, yeah, but every day eating like that? Because the devotees were eating like feasting every day, all these rich, and yes, that's not really the greatest health trip. So for the devotees, you can modify appropriately, you can do what's suitable. Prabhupada told me what would be healthy. He said, rice, dal, little sabji, chapati. Simple. If every day we're taking halava, pakoras, sweet rice, then maybe that's all right in the beginning, just to get us out of horrible things. But for the long term, rice, dal, chapati, sabji, simple prasadam will be healthy. Not that because Krishna's every day eating, 64 different kinds of sweet, salty, and other outrageous preparations, we have to try for it also. Or, The Minister of Health formerly has something to say.
One time they made Srila Prabhupada preparation, and it was mostly curd. It was like a curd sabji. And Prabhupada ate all of it. So the devotees became very enthusiastic and said, and the next day they served Prabhupada the same preparation, and he didn't eat any of it. So they asked Prabhupada, but yesterday he ate all of it. What was wrong with it today? He said, once a week. He said, otherwise sex desire.
Yeah. What is that? Yuktahara viharascha, not too much, not too little. And in the later, what is that? Ayu sattva balarogya sukha priti vivardhana rasya snigdha. You can read in the Bhagavad Gita, food and passion, food and ignorance, food and goodness. Generally, we're meant for food and goodness, but once a week. Prabhupada said the devotees have sacrificed their lives. They've given up everything else. So let them have nice prasadam. Yes, Surabhi.
When Prabhupada was here, we used to cook in ghee. Yes. But when I was traveling in America in 1992, on the LA side, they used ghee. And on the New York side, they used oil.
You came too late. At 26 Avenue, it was always ghee.
Okay, yeah. Well, Prabhupada taught us that.
Yes.
He said ghee is for the inside and oil is for the outside.
Yes.
So what do you think? Personally, I feel that because we use all this oil, which is very difficult to digest, that causes so many problems with the health. And we notice that the devotees these days, even when they're young, they have health problems.
Well, I'm not the health expert, so I'm not going to talk very much about what it is that might be destroying our health, whether it's polyunsaturated fats, or whether it's oil, or whether it's COVID injections, or whether it's radiation from computers and other such devices, or whether it's, you name it. There's so many, it's a padam yadvi padam. It's an unhealthy world. If we go back to Godhead, then we can eat what we like.
But shouldn't we be conscious of it now?
That's up to you. You can be
conscious
of these things.
Yeah.
But the main thing is just don't stay here, because there's just no, you'll get sick on ghee too. That's also possible. Yeah. So, there's just no winning in the material world. It's a losing proposition. We should just give up and surrender.
Yeah, of course.
And now by the way, there's one more book. I wanted to mention two more actually, but I'll just mention one. There's a Prabhupada Tributes book, since there's several Prabhupada disciples here. Every year we're publishing a book called Srila Prabhupada Tributes for Prabhupada's Vyas Puja, and it's open for all of Prabhupada's disciples, without exception. That's the only qualification. If you're a Prabhupada disciple, you can write for the book. If you're not, write for some other book. And anyone who sends a contribution, that is, who writes for the book, gets a free copy. And the place to find out about it is sptributes.com. And okay, mention done. You're all invited, all Prabhupada disciples are warmly invited. If you know some people who aren't here, you can pass the word. And my sense is that we're probably quite over our time limit, and I should stop. Is that? Oh, the other book is the book called The Vanaprastha Adventure, which is a work in progress. Those who are, anyone. It's a book about the unseen ashram, Vanaprastha ashram, and it's being serialized on my website, jswami.info. So feel free to check it out. And let's stop here. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.